Hello, guys, and welcome back to the Mission Empowered podcast with me, your host, Emily. I hope you're all doing super well today. So, if you are watching on video, you will see I look like I've just fell from the North Pole with my little rosy cheeks. I don't know what is going on, but I'm feeling a bit flushed today. But anyway, hey, how are we all? Are we excited for this episode? You should be. So, this episode is being recorded 5th of December, so it's going to be highly, highly applicable going into Christmas if you've been on a bit of a fat loss journey through this year, or you're sort of thinking now, oh, I really want to lose weight, and it's sort of like a bit of a battle in your head. It's also going to be really applicable any time to come back to throughout the year if you're feeling like you're being stagnant on your diet, or you're just not really motivated, but you know you want to lose weight, because that's a problem we have, right? Is that our whole society, when we think about health and fitness, fat loss is just up there. And I think so many people, when they say, right, I'm going on a health kick, it's not far away from your mindset of, I want to lose fat. But this episode today is all about why you shouldn't try and do fat loss all the time. Okay. And I'm hoping it cascades in, hoping you've listened to some of my other episodes about fat loss, because one of the biggest things that I do as a coach, and I highly recommend to anyone who's even not working with me on a coaching basis but is listening to the podcast to get hints and tips about fat loss, is that fat loss should be on a time frame. You should have a start date and an end date. Okay, now if you are someone who actually wants to lose a lot of fat, so you're looking at the 4, 5, 6 stone plus mark, then when you're probably thinking, well, that doesn't apply to me, when's the freaking end date? But when we talk about fat loss, we should always be talking about fat loss phases, okay? And that's still having a start date and an end date. So I've had people work with me from all ends of the spectrum, right? Someone who wants to lose half a stone, someone who wants to lose 4 stone. Both of them, as their coach, I will do in fat loss phases. Because if you are trying to lose 3, 4 stone, it will not work for you to just say, right, go on a diet to lose 3 or 4 stone, because you are going to run out of steam at some point. Life is going to put a bit of I want to say stagnation. We know what I'm like making words up. I think stagnation's a word, but not a word, but we're going to run with it. You will stagnate at some point. So that's why, first and foremost, if you are doing fat loss, there is a time and a place to do it and a time frame to do it in. Okay. In the lead up to Christmas is probably not the best time to be doing fat loss if you have got loads of social occasions on. That's it. That's all I'm saying. If you've got loads of social occasions on, because we know that with social occasions, a lot of the time comes food and comes drink, which probably, more often than not, takes you out of a calorie deficit. If you're saying to yourself, I've got 1,001 social occasions in December, but I'm trying to lose weight, you are literally setting yourself up for a fail. Not because you won't lose weight, but mentally, if you're telling yourself opposing things. We can't have 1,001 social occasions where we're eating and drinking alongside a fat loss. There's got to be some compromise. But for me, is December the best time to do that compromise? It depends. Probably not for most of us, right? But in today's episode, I'm going to tell you why you shouldn't be trying to lose fat all of the time, and why you should actually have a time frame to do it in. So when we lose fat, we are in a calorie deficit. Obviously, I'm hoping we know that, right? It means we are expending more calories than we are taking in. When we do a calorie deficit for a prolonged periods of times, things happen. We do get side effects. We do adapt to it. Okay. Things happen physically, things happen mentally. So physically, we have metabolic adaptation, which just means we start to slow down. We start to not go to the toilet as much. Subconsciously, we slow down. If you're looking at your empty glass of water at the beginning of your diet, you're probably like, right, I'm going to go and fill that up. Off I go down the stairs, get an extra couple of steps in. Later, to the end of the diet, or if you've been dieting for a long time, you're like, oh, I'll get it in a minute. Okay. And that is your body subconsciously trying to stop you burning calories, because it knows it's been in a deficit for a prolonged period of times. period of time. You might find yourself less motivated to go for a walk, put effort in your workout. You are probably going to be less adherent on your diet the longer you're on that diet, because yes, dieting is boring. Nobody fucking likes dieting, okay? And the longer we do it, the not the hard not the harder it is, but this is an analogy that I use with my clients, and I think it sums up dieting pretty well. Think of dieting like a marathon, okay? At the beginning of the marathon, you have loads of energy, you're full pelt, you're buzzing, you're like, oh, I'm really enjoying this. That last mile of that marathon is hell on earth. It's a struggle. It's slow. It's sluggish. It's frustrating. That's dieting. The last bit to get to your goal, that's the hardest bit to do, because you've got to keep going. You've been doing it all this time. You've got to keep going. And that's why I use like the marathon analogy term, because I think it sums up quite well. So if you think, if I'm as a fat loss coach, health coach, I'm telling you that you can't diet all the time, hopefully within 5 minutes you've had a bit of a revelation of, okay, I've been dieting for 4 years. This podcast's going to be for me. Okay. So metabolic adaptation physically can happen, so we can start to see slower results, but more often than not, it is a psychological aspect of dieting that screws us over, that stops us seeing the results. We get lax on tracking our calories. We go down that, oh, I'll just have a little bit of that, I'll just have a little bit of that. And you know what I'm going to say is, it's not your fault. It is not your conscious fault, okay? It's subconsciously your body being bored of dieting and getting used to being in a calorie deficit, because our bodies do not want us to lose weight, okay? They don't. Even, it goes back to caveman times, right? Our bodies are predispositioned for survival, okay? This is how basic it goes when it comes to struggling to lose fat. If we are predispositioned to survive, we need energy to survive. So our caveman days, we will try and get as much food as possible in our bodies, because then we'd have as much energy as possible, which would mean our survival rate was higher, okay? That is still very much in our DNA, okay? Your body does not recognize, oh, these jeans are getting a bit snug, we'll start burning off calories, okay? It doesn't do that, okay? And unfortunately, the reason we are in an obesity epidemic is we're surrounded by the Western world, okay? So we've got processed food, we've got easily accessible things, so you don't have to go to shop now, you can order it on Amazon, you know? We don't go, when, you know, our daily jobs are very, what's the word, not remote. Oh, what is the word I'm thinking of? Come on, mum brain. Ooh, not stagnant. We're sitting down a lot. I hate it when I can't think of words that'll come to me in a minute. But we're very immobile. We're not up in the fields, up the trees, running after the tigers, you know. We're sat in front of a desk. So we're I'm going to use predispositions again, but we are predispositioned to be in this obesity epidemic because our Western world provides it. Okay, so that's where our bodies aren't cutting it. Our bodies aren't adapting to the rate that the world's going, which is why we're in an obesity epidemic, which is why you're struggling to lose weight, okay? I feel like it's a bit of a science lesson. Hope you're enjoying it so far. So if you think fat loss is being in a calorie deficit, but our bodies don't like being in a calorie deficit, so we have to work really hard at being in that calorie deficit to make sure we get this fat off, right? But if we know psychologically and physiologically that runs out, can you see why we can't do fat loss all the time? So that's why it comes back to my first point of having a time frame, okay? Having a time frame for your fat loss, and that could be, the recommended time frame is roughly 16 to 20 weeks maximum. That's how long you should diet for, maximum. What tends to happen with us normal average people is that we don't normally do that long anyway. Excuse me. That's seen a lot in the bodybuilding world, because bodybuilders, remember, live and breathe dieting and training, like above all, above everything else. I've got bodybuilder friends who took Tupperwares to their own family's wedding because they were so on prep, okay? For us average Joes who just want to be fit, be happy, be healthy, we normally have things in every 6 to 8 weeks, big occasions, okay? So we normally do have what we would call a diet break in that time, okay? Oh, I'm really going to go off piece there. Am I? So if we have a diet break like every 8 weeks, what we should be saying to ourselves is, right, for 8 weeks, I'm really going to knuckle down, and then at Joe Blogg's wedding, I'll let my hair down. And I might have that weekend where I just let my hair down and just enjoy it, take my foot off the gas a little bit, give my body a little bit of break from training, and then I'll do another 8 weeks. So you've already set yourself a time frame with a goal at the end. The problem that we've got is people don't do that. So they diet Monday to Thursday and think, fucking hell, that was solid. They've got no end goal to work towards. So what do? They smash the wine and the crisps on the Friday because they think, oh, well, you've got to live. I hate that when people say that, by the way. You've got to live. You've got to have a life, Yeah, but not after 4 days of dieting, Jane, So anyway, back to what I was saying. So time framing it automatically helps your adherence increase because okay, 8 weeks, and in 8 weeks time I want to see significant results. I want to do it. And I use this a lot with my clients. All of my fat loss clients will be working within a time frame. All of them. They will all have an end date of either finishing diet and going into reverse, finishing diet and going on a diet break, or finishing diet and having a bit of a weekend or a week's holiday, or we come up to maintenance for a short period of time and then they'll do a second fat loss phase. Okay, just to be really clear, your fat loss results are probably not in one fat loss phase. They're probably in 2 or 3. Okay, just to be dead clear on that. And again, from a coaching experience, this is why I'm really open about people working with me for a minimum of 6 months, because unfortunately, no, it doesn't take 8 weeks. No, it doesn't take 12 weeks. Okay, doing unsustainable shit does. But who wants to work and slog their arse on for 12 weeks to then the next 12 weeks be back at square one? No one, not on my watch. Whereas 6 months, you phase it, you put maintenance breaks in, you reverse, you're in and out, you're done forever. Anyway, that's another story. So that was my little intro to fat loss and how you should be planning it out, okay? But the reason why we should take these breaks, I'm now going to talk about. So the first one is, like I just said, it's adherence, and it's letting your body come away from that deficit, because being in a deficit, you are going to experience low energy. Yeah. As we get, low energy. So I've skipped ahead. Low energy. So low performance in the gym, maybe towards the end. Yeah. Can't be asked doing your steps. Depending on how hard you push in fat loss, it can start to interfere with your sleep. Okay. So having not dieting for extreme amounts of time is going to keep your health on point as well. So let's go through my points. So the first one is, like I said, energy. If you're if you're expending more energy than you're taking in over a long periods of time, your energy is going to start to lax. Okay. Therefore, you are not going to get the best results because your energy is laxing in your gym performance and your workouts. And we know that doing really good workouts promotes muscle tone and promotes strength gains, which is all the positives of getting fit and healthy. So if we're missing out on them, we're missing out on a big chunk of what we want to ultimately achieve at our end goal. So if we have a maintenance break, or we take, a month or 2 months where we just eating at maintenance level, not aiming for fat loss, but we see our strength improve, our fitness improve because we're going into the workouts full of energy, our sleep improve because we're not battling with hunger, all of these things, which brings me on to my next point. That's a bonus. So the next point I'm coming on to is hormonal health. So being in a calorie deficit for a long periods of time can affect your hormones, okay? Especially your fertility hormones, our female hormones, okay? So we need to make sure that we're not dieting on and on and on and on and on to the point where we're exhausting our bodies, not natural functions, important functions. Okay, hormonal health is very, very important for a million different reasons, and if we're starting to affect that by being on a diet for so long, again, we're coming away from that end goal of being our fittest, healthiest, best selves. Okay. So yeah, it can affect your hormones, and the hormones that it can affect a lot are your hunger hormones. So you have 2 hunger hormones. You have ghrelin, you have leptin. Ghrelin is responsible for telling you you're hungry. Leptin is responsible for telling you are full. You've had enough. You don't need food, okay? When we are in a prolonged calorie deficit, it can affect them hormones to not function properly. So think about this, right? Ghrelin tells you you're hungry, okay? If it's not functioning properly, it tells you are hungry all the time, constantly, okay? It doesn't ever sort of subside. Leptin your fullness hormone, that doesn't work. So if that doesn't kick in and say you're full, and your hungry hormone is telling you hungry all the time, where are you left? You are left up shit creek because you're trying to lose fat, but your hormones aren't working properly because you've been in a deficit too long. So you're constantly fucking hungry and you're eating more. Are you losing fat? No, you are not. So by having these structured time frames with maintenance blocks in between, you are going to help regulate that hormonal health. So when you do diet, you are not being affected by these things, and you can diet effectively. That's a big thing, dieting effectively. Okay, that's probably something I massively pride myself on as a coach, is that I get you to diet effectively. I know how to diet. Okay, I know how to get fat off, know how to keep it off in effective ways. And if you listen to all of my podcast episodes, you will pick them tips up. Okay, so that was the hormones, and I said, like, female, your reproductive hormones are affected by calorie deficit, but the bottom line is, hormones in general are all affected by being in a prolonged calorie deficit. Okay, I sort of touched on this one, but adherence. So think of it as like your body playing tricks on you, because your internal subconscious body is a lot more fucking cleverer than your conscious body, okay? And without even knowing it, as I said earlier on, you will stop going the toilet as much because your body's like, no, we don't need to burn them calories, we'll keep them. Stop blinking as much, stop twitching, fidgeting, If you're one of these people, song comes on the radio and you're like, I love this song, hey. Well, you won't be doing that anymore. Your body will just be like, I love this song. Mute. Okay, all of these little things that we do with our hands, our blinking, waving to our mate, jogging up the stairs, having a little dance around the kitchen, this is all subconsciously burning off calories. Okay, so that's our non-exercise. If you've heard of NEAT before, non-exercise activity thermogenesis. So when your body burns calories, not through purposeful exercise, okay, your body subconsciously decreases your NEAT if you have been in a prolonged calorie deficit. And we don't want that if we want fat. Yeah, we want to keep that NEAT up if we want to drop fat. God, that was not adherence. Sorry, guys, just totally went on off it. So when we sorry, I really did go off on a win there, but you know that now. So adherence is obviously really important to stick to do what we say we're going to do. So when we go into a fat loss journey, we're normally got a step goal, got a calorie goal, got a protein goal. You might have carbs and fats goal, okay? You probably have got a workout routine that you're trying to do. When your body depletes in energy from food, it depletes your motivation levels with that. Okay. And like I said, it tries to preserve energy. So your body, there we go, we're back on track. Your body will subconsciously, find excuses, find reasons to not do the workout, to not do the steps. You're going to feel like, oh, I don't want to do that. Okay. And so then your adherence to your fat loss plan is going to decrease. And if that decreases, your results are going to decrease. And again, as I said at the very beginning of this episode, fat loss can be like a marathon and the last little bit is hard. But if you're not setting a time frame and you're just constantly years dieting, you're never getting to that last little bit. Your whole life is that last little bit. Fat loss is hard. Dieting is hard because you've got no time frame on it. Okay, so remember that having maintenance phases, not looking at fat loss constantly, is going to help you with your adherence when you do fat loss. Okay, it's going to help with the energy, the motivation to adhere to the plan. Okay, quick one then. Performance and muscle growth. So when we are in fat loss, it's very, 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 very hard to put on muscle. Okay, because you can't just pluck muscle out of thin air. It has to be made. Okay. And so if we're putting extra protein in our diet because we want that toned look, the chemical reaction of your body to turn that protein into lean muscle requires energy. Okay, it needs energy to do that. Your body gets energy from food, not thin air. If you're in a calorie deficit, your body is going to find it extremely difficult to get energy to build lean muscle, because all your body is thinking about when you're in a calorie deficit is survival. It wants you to have enough calories to salivate, digest your food, poop your food out, beat your heart, breathe your lungs. Yeah, that's what your body's primary focusing on. It is not bothered about building you a set of glutes. Unfortunately, it's not on your subconscious priority list. Okay, so if you are If you have been doing fat loss and you're like, actually, I want to be more toned, the likelihood is you probably need to step away from fat loss, come up to maintenance or a very slight surplus, focus on your trading, because more food equals more fuel. Okay, more food, more fuel, better results. That's what you've got to think. If you're pumping the right type of food, the enough calories, enough protein, your body's going to build that lean muscle, but it's not going to do that while you're in a deficit. And this is why it is, in my opinion, if you are like, I want an overhaul, I want to drop weight and put muscle on. Okay, drop weight first. You'll fucking feel better. You will feel so much better in yourself, seeing a little bit of shape come through. It will then motivate you to then go into that muscle toning phase. Okay, so, but like I said, if you've expired that diet timeline or you're feeling really lethargic about it, give yourself a break and focus your progress in the gym. Go for the PBs every time you go to the gym. Focus on maybe getting faster with your running or going up a level on the Stairmaster, and your fitness can improve because your energy's improved, because you're eating more, because you're not in a deficit. And again, it really helps you. It helps you see them non-scale victories. So when we're in fat loss, we are very dictated by things going down, numbers getting smaller, and doing that over prolonged period of time isn't great for your mindset. Because then when you don't do fat loss, people struggle with, well, what am I working for? Where do I get my highs from? Where do I get my kicks from now? Whereas if you're already in the flow of chasing results in the gym, of numbers getting higher, your form getting better, getting more reps out, feeling faster, feeling fitter, all of that high. Oh, it's such a great feeling to know that, yes, you can do fat loss and get a high off how you're looking and your numbers coming down, but also you can get a high off not being in fat loss and feeling better about yourself. It's very important that we have that and we don't just focus on the fat loss. So stepping away from dieting can help with your mindset, your muscle growth, your performance. So that's that one. Okay, where are we? Last one then. Last point is your relationship with food. Probably should have started with this one, but off on a tangent I went. Your relationship with food, huge. Probably the biggest thing that I see with my clients is, especially if they are hardcore dieters, and by that I mean you've done your Weight Watchers, you've done your Slimming World, you've done this crash diet, you've done that crash diet, you've tried this, you've tried just everything, you've done everything. Yeah, your relationship with food is probably not going to be what I would call optimal, because you see food as like a diet tool rather than what it is, which is fuel, which is good nutrition, which is, we have this term, or I have this term that I like to use, and it's that food is biopsychosocial. So that means we use food biologically for our body, psychologically. So sometimes we have food because it makes us feel better, and then socially, we sometimes go out for meals. It's a social thing that we do. Okay, biopsychosocial aspect. And when we are prolonged dieters, that gets fuzzy, and all we see foods as is that fat free? How many calories are in that? Oh, waistline, and we become very dictated by it, and we lose our relationship with food. So when we do, if we're chasing fat loss, by having it on a time frame, okay, yes, we know we need to be planned out. We know we need to be eating better foods, maybe low calorie, higher protein foods for that time. But then when we say, right, well, I've done that now for 10 weeks, I'm actually just going to have a week break where I eat a few more foods that maybe I've cut out in fat loss, because, I want to, things like butters, avocados, nuts, cheeses, a lot of the stuff we don't eat a lot of in fat loss because it's calorie dense. Excuse me, because it's calorie dense. Maybe we introduce that for that week. Or maybe we've been going out for friends and we've said no to the wine at every meal. We've said no to the starter, but we've gone for the main, and we've picked a main that was the, low calorie, high fiber, high protein. And we get to 10 weeks and we go, oh, my friend's going to this gorgeous restaurant for a birthday. I want to go and have a few drinks. I want to have a nice wine. So rather than having this one extreme blowout on the day, which is where people go and they completely fuck it up, is you say, right, for that week before I go for that meal, I'm just going to bring my calories up. I'm going to have a few more calories. I'm going to eat in my maintenance. And then by the time you get to the meal, I'm not going to feel like I've got to have this blowout because my calories have been higher all week. So what did we say before? My hunger levels are better. My adherence is better. My mindset feels okay. I don't feel hungry. I feel energized. Like I'm going to go to this meal. I'm going to enjoy it rather than go to this meal and think I've got a free pass, press the fucking button and it all goes awry, you know? So improving our relationship with food is something I think we need to work on internationally, you know, and that is why I was saying before about effective dieting, because effective dieting doesn't affect your relationship with food because you understand the foods you're eating when you're dieting are to get a certain result. That isn't your diet for the rest of your life because you're not going to try and lose fat for the rest of your life. Once you get to your fat loss goal, should we say, and then you move into maintenance and you just repeat maintenance and you keep the results and you realize you can go out for the meal out within balance. You can eat everything. You can eat anything that you want in moderation. And it's understanding what that moderation looks like people struggle with. So moderation isn't a bar of Galaxy every single day. Moderation isn't having a dessert after your evening meal every single day. That's a habit that you've got into. Okay, so it's understanding what that moderation is, and again, could be an idea for another podcast of what moderation is. But my point is doing fat loss on a time frame and then understanding fat loss is one part of the game. Maintenance is where it's at, and maintenance is an important part of fat loss. You need to have the maintenance, whether that's you do one fat loss phase and you stay on maintenance, or you say, right, I'm going to have 2 weeks break. I'm going to have 4 months break. I've got clients now who have done fat loss phase this year. They're getting married next year. I've just put her on a 12-week maintenance plan. So she still works with me. We brought her calories up, and in them 12 weeks, we focused on performance in the gym, getting strong, getting fitter, improving her relationship with food, having meals out so that when she went to dieting again and that actually we probably had to rate it in on the meals out, it was okay because she hasn't been dieting for 2 years. She did a stint, she had to break, she does fat loss again. And she's like, you know what? And this is true actually. I remember one of my coach friends said to me, every time you diet, it gets easier because every time you diet, you start to understand, like I said about effective dieting, you start to understand how dieting works effectively. You understand what you need to do short term, get in, get out, jobs done. I've actually written that down in my notes. Nobody likes dieting. So why do we do it for years and decades on end? Well, probably because we don't understand it, but that's where I come in. Yeah, come in, do the Fit and Six, come and work with us 1-to-1. You know, change your life within that 6 to 12 months because you understand how to diet and how to keep results. You don't yo-yo. But yeah, with dieting, you want to get in and get out as quick as you can. So the more you do it, the more you understand, actually, I'm not going to have that chocolate bar that's going to take me from my calories because it's just, like, I just want to stick to my diet and get it done. And I know that when I'm having a diet break in 3 weeks' time, I can have the Kit Kat or I can have the Mars bar, or I can have whatever I want. And again, coming back to the people of, oh, you've got to live your life. Yeah, but if you want to do fat loss, stick to it for them few weeks and then give yourself maintenance. Okay, so did the title relate to this episode? I hope it makes you see why you shouldn't be chronically dieting. Okay. I also want it to make you see that if you've been dieting this year and you're in December and you think your only option is to keep dieting or press the fucking button, that it's not. Go and find a calorie calculator and work out what your maintenance calories are. Okay. And stick to them throughout December and focus on the positives away from fat loss for the next 3 weeks. Focus on having a nice time because remember, food, bio, psycho, social. Okay. It isn't just a dieting tool. Food at Christmas tends to be with friends, with family. It's a social aspect, and being socially healthy is important for our mental health. So if that means you go for a meal and you have a mulled wine with your mates, sound? You know? If you shouldn't be dropping out your gym workouts through December. That's not the thing to do. Keep your workouts up. And if you're having a couple of celebrations here and there, don't think to yourself, well, tomorrow I need to not have any. Think to yourself, well, tomorrow I'll go and get a PB on the leg press because I've got more fuel in me now from them celebrations. Okay? The worst thing I see people do really, really is smash it in the whole year and then fuck it in December because they don't understand that it doesn't need to be, I'm dieting, I'm not dieting. Or I'm dieting, I'm putting all the weight on. It doesn't need to be either of them camps. You can sit in the middle and say, do you know what? I've worked really hard this all year. I'm going to maintain and take my foot off the gas now. I'm going to work out my maintenance calories. Seafood as fuel. Seafood as a biopsychosocial, which is what it is. And I'm going to perform really well in the gym. I'm going to keep my steps up. I'm going to focus on getting good sleep. And then if I want to do another fat loss phase, come January, because I've taken my foot off the gas in December, I will be so ready to put it back down in January. Because like I said earlier in the episode, we cannot put up, I either said this in an episode or said it to one of my clients in check-in today, you can't have your foot to the floor on the gas 100% of the time. You'll burn out. And that's what we've covered today. Is that if you have been foot to floor on your dieting pedal for 6 months, 6 years, yeah, that's why you're and still not where you want to be. That's why, because you're not dieting effectively. And I don't need to cover everything else that I've gone through in the episode, but this episode is hopefully helping you see why. And again, the purpose of this episode now is to just reassure, whether you listen to this at Christmas, not at Christmas, but taking a diet break can be one of the best things that you can do for your results. If you feel burnt out, work out what your maintenance calories are, and whether it's a week, whether it's a month, whether it's 3 months, give yourself time there, focus on the positives away from the scales, and then set yourself up for a successful dieting phase again, because you've had that break. Everything's rebalanced. Your motivation is now high because you've had the break from dieting. And trust me, that fat loss phase will be way more effective. Okay, guys, as always, hope this helped. And if it did, please share it on your socials. I say this every year, but 2025, big up the Mission Empowered podcast. Let's get it seen. And if you did enjoy it, please drop me a message on Instagram @_em.powered. And I will see you next time. Love you. Bye.